welcome to Stoughton Today. Today is April 1st and I'm Mary Carol Verdon. During the show today, we'll be speaking with some people who have recently taken on new responsibilities here in Stoughton. Julie Arneson, the new Deputy Treasurer, new EMS Director Kathy Rigdon, and the new Managing Director of the Stoughton Opera House, Shauna Terry, will be our guests today. But first, we have some exciting news to let you know about. Stoughton was recently the recipient of a federal grant for cities with defined ethnic identity and a demonstrated interest in downtown beautification. As a result of this grant, Mayor Helen Johnson and the City Planning Commission interviewed and hired Vortex Design, a noted firm in the new and growing field of civil styling. Mayor Johnson is live with me today via satellite to discuss their recommendations. We'll welcome Mayor Johnson. Let's get right down to it. The Beautification Grant is to help cities promote their ethnic identities. Is that correct?
Correct. Isn't that exciting?
I understand their first recommendation was to give each downtown business a 3-foot concrete dragon.
Our dragons will be poured concrete, and each one will be identically ugly and without any artistic touches, and that would leave each business the opportunity to decorate the dragons as they see fit.
And the dragons would be placed curbside in front of every business?
Yes, they'd be front and center where it'd be hard to miss.
I also hear that all street and business signs are being translated into Norwegian. Won't that make it hard for people to know what they say?
That's true. Well, only if you don't speak or read Norwegian. We don't really care if you don't, and just think how cute the signs will be.
I believe that Vortex proposed reformatting the phone book to list names by how often they're used, so that names like Hansen and Johnson and Gertsen would be at the front of the phone book. Any comments about that?
Sounds like a wonderful idea to me.
They also recommended an official city mascot called Bjorn Berserker the Happy Viking. Is that being seriously considered?
Well, we've used a Viking at each edge of the city to slow down, remind people to slow down for pedestrians, so I don't think it would be too difficult to use the Happy Viking on lots of other signs and production materials like our clock tower. We could even have a costume character who can stroll through town every day, frightening children and yelling, "To the boatsmen." There's other pillaging and things to be done in Stoughton, and besides, Bjorn is my favorite Norwegian.
I see. Vortex Design also suggested that all city vehicles be repainted in a rose mold design. How did city employees react to that, and to the suggestion that city uniforms be modeled after traditional Norwegian bunads, like those worn by Stoughton dancers?
Well, I can read some of the information that we have from our minutes where this was all approved. I think it would be great. Stoughton would be like Sitnamai all year long. And of course, the bunads are a bit impractical and hot during the summer, but what the heck. City employees should be grateful for their jobs. And besides, I already own one, so I'm okay. The other thing is that we were thinking about requiring bunads as a school uniform. And this was submitted to the schools. We should consider making it a crime to wear anything anywhere in Stoughton that isn't either a Norwegian outfit or a Victorian costume. And I know that some in the police department would feel that wearing a costume might undermine their ability to do their jobs. But I'm certain they can work through the laughter and make it a plus. The floral rose mold patterns on the football uniforms that we're requiring might be considered unusual, but they will certainly make Stoughton athletes stand out in statewide competition, don't you think?
Yeah, flowers on football uniforms will be unusual. How are you feeling about the proposed ban on all pets except Norwegian fjord horses and elk hounds?
Well, for Stoughton, I can't think of a greater pet. Some children may miss their former pets, but they'll, in time, learn to understand what it is to be Norwegian.
Don't you think that the legislation that fines people for planting any flowers that aren't red, white, or blue to match the Norwegian flag is a bit harsh? I mean, aren't there lots of pretty lilacs in town? Would they all have to be cut down because they're not red, white, or blue?
White ones would be allowed.
White ones would be allowed. The last thing that was suggested is that Main Street be renamed Thor Heyerdahl Highway and be repaved with dried lutefisk because it's particularly Norwegian and more durable than brick. Does the Planning Commission see any problems with that?
Well, there may be some problem when it rains because it'll get a bit blubbery and the smell is enough to raise the dead. But otherwise, we think it's an excellent idea. One way we could alleviate any problems and to prevent winter in Stoughton is we could build a tent over the whole city.
A tent over the whole city. Well, my thanks to Mayor Johnson for talking with me today about this new direction for downtown Stoughton. We'll keep you posted about future developments, including the council's decision on Norwegian Bachelor Farmers Day and Ole and Lena's annual wedding anniversary celebration. We're going to take a short break, and then I'll be back with Kathy Brigden, who's recently left the Treasurer's office to become Stoughton's new EMS director.